quick little pop to just pull it off the water.
Yeah, you're trying to, we got a little rough water you want to get off before it gets too rough out here.
Yeah.
My name is Trevor Aldridge. I flew for the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, and I flew F-15s across England, Japan, and the Middle East, where I got my call sign, Duzit. Now, I travel the country looking for my next adventure. This is Doesn't Does It. So there's a whole other side of the EAA that a lot of people don't see, and that is this EAA seaplane base. It's a lot more low-key, it's a lot more chill, and today we're gonna get to go out and take out a Cessna 206 on floats, but it's not just any Cessna 206. Let's go.
You work for Samaritan. Did you start the company?
Yeah.
Okay, and when you started it back in what year?
2000.
So you've been doing it for 22 years.
Yep.
That's amazing. And so, you do a lot of work for Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, so Samaritan Aviation, it started on a trip. I was over there in 1994 as a 19-year-old. We saw a need over there. It's one of the most remote places in the world. A lot of people don't even know where it is, but it's north of Australia. It's the second largest island in the world. There's 850 languages. Almost a fifth of the world's languages are on this little island. 8 million people, and had an opportunity to go over there with a friend in 1994 and saw the need, and I'd already had a passion for aviation. My grandfather was a World War II pilot, my uncles flew airplanes, my cousin was a fighter pilot in the military, and my dad was a minister. And so growing up as a Christian, and then as a high schooler, my dad started running this homeless mission in Santa Cruz, California. This idea of helping people, through acts of service, and so giving people food and clothes, and that had a huge impact on me. And then I went down to Mexico as a 16-year-old and able to see another culture and build houses and really help somebody out. And had a moment down there where I just felt like, I felt God spoke to me. It's hard to explain, but it hasn't happened since, but it was real. And what I heard was, Mark, I want you to use your passion for people in aviation to share my love in a remote part of the world. And as a 16-year-old, I came back to California and like, okay, now what? So I ended up going to college in Florida, met a guy there, 19, we go to Papua New Guinea, one of the most remote places in the world. So it kind of fit the bill of going to a remote place, aviation. See a lot of water, there's no access. We keep hearing stories of it's taking 1 to 3 to 5 days for people to get to the only hospital.
So what have y'all been able to do through y'all's help out there?
So it's been amazing. It took us 10 years. We finally got our first float plane. I took it over there in 2010 with my wife and 3 kids. I'm an A&P as well, so I packed it in a container, put it back together in the capital with a bag of tools, and flew it about 500 miles into where we work today. I hadn't been a float plane in 60 years, and so, kind of figuring out, hey, where can we land? Where are the medical aid posts? There's 40 different aid posts out in these remote villages along this river, and so we service them with medicine as well. So 2010 we began, and we've been able to deliver 200,000 pounds of medicine now to these remote clinics. We've helped stop polio outbreak over there, cholera outbreaks, whooping cough, measles, any type of disaster or sickness outbreak. We've been able to help with that. Our teams are on the ground. We go over there and we live 2 years at a time, and so it's really a life calling for all of our staff. And so we've been able to serve these people in this remote Sepik River for over 12 years, and we've saved thousands of lives.
I was going to ask, what's the assessment for number of lives that you think you've saved?
It's hard to know. Through medevacs, we've saved probably 1,500, but through the medicine.
Through medevacs alone, not including the polio, the vaccine, or
right.
Any of the other medicine that you've supplied to people.
Yeah, it's life-changing, life-saving. You take a 3-day trek and it's a 1-hour flight. I mean, a seaplane offers access, hope to places you can't get to anywhere else. And these people are living in bush houses. There's no electricity, no running water. They've never seen town. They've never seen electricity, a lot of them. So you're kind of stepping back in time in a lot of ways, and just having the ability to go serve them. We don't charge for our flights, which just sets us apart from probably any other organization over there. And so we're just there to serve. We're on call 7 days a week, and now it's grown from me and my family to 6 pilots and 2 aircraft mechanics and a medical director, 6 Papua New Guinean staff. This is our 3rd aircraft, and so the cool thing is we've done a lot of great things, but we're just getting started. And this plane that we're in right now will be headed over later this year to begin serving in Papua New Guinea. So it's really exciting to see the team grow, our capacity grow, And on top of that, we're getting ready to expand to another part of the island where people haven't seen a medical service of any kind in 30 to 40 years.
That's incredible. And what do you need to grow? Like, what's your barrier? Is it finances? Is it aircraft? Is it pilots? Is it maintainers? Is it medical personnel? All the above?
All the above. A year ago, I would have told you staff was our biggest issue, biggest challenge. It's hard to find a pilot who feels like his life is to be used to serve people, and getting a pilot that's willing to move his family over there and spend 2 years. I mean, it's not easy to find that person.
Right.
And then they have to learn the language, the culture. They have to be a great pilot, a mechanic as well. And most of the time, it takes 7 or 8 months in country before they're able to fly the airplane.
And what's amazing about this approach is that 100% of those money that goes towards that is directly helping the profit, right? There's no oversight. There's no balloon of money going towards different places back to the States.
No, that's right. I mean, if you look at our numbers, I think it's 3% goes to administration.
Right,
you know?
right. That's incredible.
And we've been able to do that over the years, and we're proud of that, so that the donors' funds are going where they want them to go.
And for people that might be watching, they'd be interested and say, hey, I want to help contribute to that. How do they do that?
You can go to SamaritanAviation.org. We've got a great website. You can donate there. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channel. We've got lots of videos if you were kind of interested in more detail of what we do. And then we send a monthly newsletter out as well. So if you were looking for information on an email once a month on stories of lives saved, lives changed over there, that's another way you can follow us as well.
It's incredible to see that contribution go directly to that effort and know that you're helping save lives. Well, this is a pretty unique airplane. I've not flown a 206 on floats before, and so I'm really interested to see how this thing flies. This one's not a normal 206.
No, you know, we do, all of our planes are the same. We start out, this plane was $160,000, and we've spent around $600,000 on it. And so we've completely gone through it. We've put tip tanks on. We've put a leading edge stole cuff, a Robertson stole kit that allows the ailerons to droop with the flaps, helps us get off quicker. We put a bigger engine on it, so we take it from an IO 520 and we take it to an IO 550.
Nice.
We also take it from an 80-inch prop to an 86-inch prop for the seaplane.
Yeah.
We also put a right-hand door. This right-hand door doesn't come with a 206, and all of those things are for safety. They're also for performance.
Right.
And so this is probably one of the better performing 206s you'll ever fly in.
All right, well, let's see how she gets airborne.
Sounds good. And we're going to make one turn here, and then we'll be taking off. This is Samaritan. All right. Water rudders are down. There's the only thing.
I love this checklist that you have. You know, checklist adherence is really critical to safety, and I can imagine that y'all find yourselves in pretty stressful situations. So you could find yourself in a position where you would forget something because lives are at stake. So you have a very unique, innovative way that I've never seen before for a checklist.
Yeah, this is really so easy. You don't have time to stand, look down at your lap to find a checklist. You got logs floating down the river. There's people coming. There's fishing nets, crocodiles, sandbars. Someone's dying in the back, and You've got to be able to quickly make good decisions and get through your checklist in a timely manner. So this is just a lifesaver. You know, when you have this, you just don't forget things, because if it's not down, you haven't done it.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yep. The water rudders are up. Last thing on the checklist.
Quick little pop to just pull it off the water.
Yeah, you're trying to, we got a little rough water. You want to get off before it gets too rough out here.
Yeah.
Put the 10 degrees of flaps up. We take off with 20 degrees of flaps, and then we get to about 65 knots. We put 10 degrees back in. Always keep 10 degrees in when you're low, making turns, give you that extra chance if your engine quits to
Help with
have
the
that
stall.
stability.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
And today we're at Oshkosh, so we'll stay low.
Yeah, there's a little air show going on above
Air
us
show
right
going
now.
on, so we don't want to get in the way of any of those F-22s flying over.
Yeah, I don't know if Bay would be happy about that one.
This plane operates, we fly about 110 knots, 112 knots. Another thing that we do as well is we fly lean of peak
Okay, why is that?
most of the time. You know, we found that we use the Nagami injectors. You can monitor all the fuel flow, the differences between the cylinder temperatures. We not only save about 2.5-3 gallons an hour but longevity of the engine and the cylinders so they don't overheat. It's been working really well for us the last few years, and so.
Are you finding in those remote locations that your TBO is less than you would see in the States?
We're finding until we went lean of peak, we were changing cylinders about every, at least a couple of them about every 500-700 hours.
Wow,
and so, you know, it's a hot, humid environment over there. It's hot, and your density altitude's a lot of times around 3,000 feet, even though we're at sea level, because it's just so hot and muggy and humid. So, yeah, having the ability to keep the cylinders cool is important over there.
Let's talk a little bit about the terrain that you're working in New Guinea. So you have, obviously, you have a very crooked river that you're trying to land on, and New Guinea also has incredibly high mountains, right? Like 14,000 foot mountains or something along that realm?
Yeah, so the area we work on, which is the north coast of Papua New Guinea, we are living in Wewak, and so there's 2,000 foot mountains just south of us. As they follow the coast, they go up to 5,000-6,000 feet, then it drops into a grassy area, really. And it's just literally, we call it the Sepik Plains, but it's, you know, 5 feet high grass. This kunai grass is what it's called, and swamp. And it goes like that for hundreds of miles, and then that goes into the river, and then you have the Sepik River that just winds and up and down, you know, for 700 miles, just winding around almost on itself, up to 1,000 feet wide in a lot of places. And so that's the people we serve, as well as a lot of little rivers that are off of the main river. And you know, some of the interesting things, the Sepik is the largest freshwater flow. It's fed by, in the Asia Pacific Rim, it's fed by 400 inches of rain a year.
Wow.
And so you just get, that's why it'll rise up to, you know, 20 feet in 3 or 4 days, and it'll drop 20 feet in 3 or 4 days.
That's
so
true. So how do you assess your landing spots? I assume it changes every day then.
It changes every day. That's part of the excitement, actually, as a pilot, to not have the same, you know, runway, same 5 runways. We land in 65 different locations, and we can land in new places all the time as needed. But yeah, it's a lot of low passes. So you come over, like say you're looking at a spot, trying to dodge birds, and then you fly in like this, and now you're looking for stuff. You're looking for sandbars, you're looking for fishing nets, anything that's in the water.
Logs, alligators.
Alligator, crocodiles, and anything that is going to cause you problems. And so you always do a low pass. You know, so our you know, most people are flying patterns at 1,000 feet. You know, we're flying patterns at 200 most of the time. Yeah. So that's a big difference.
Well, you have to get down low to be able to see the threats, I assume.
Right, that's it. And so then you don't want to climb all the way back to 1,000 feet. So, you know, we fly back down. And then I'm just turning right now. I'm going to turn left base, going through my checklist. And we're kind of on left downwind now. We're just going to put it down over here. The thing about floats is you're really looking for a picture. You don't want to dig a float, so you're kind of looking for the hardest part about learning floats is just getting the right, it's a picture really.
As opposed to an airspeed?
You go down, you know, I'm at 60 right now, but then you're looking for the picture, and the airspeed, it'll happen because you're just going to let it happen, but it's more finding that picture and just touch it down like that. It's a little rough out here, so we'll just go around, but that gives you an idea.
So as a normal Cessna 206 on floats, how would it perform relative to this? Obviously you got the bigger engines, you have assisted aided with the slats and the ailerons that will droop down. Which type of performance difference do you see between when you pick one up normally and after you've done your modifications?
You know, the biggest thing is it's seconds on the water. So, you know, with a float plane, you're always kind of looking at how many seconds does it take to take off. So, you know, instead of, you know, 40 seconds, you're looking at 30 seconds, 28 seconds. And every second is another chance to hit something.
Right.
So that's a big deal.
Right.
And so you shorten your run by several hundred feet.
Now with these modifications you put on, does that put this into the experimental class, or are these all
No, these are all STC'd, which is why they're so expensive.
Right.
Yeah, that right-hand door is 35 grand.
And is that a requirement for Papua New Guinea?
None of it is. It's all our internal things that we want to do.
Quite a few birds running around the water.
Yeah, I go around here. There are a lot of birds over here. So that's just what we've decided to use based on the first one we had didn't have a lot of those mods, and so some of the struggles I had in the early days to get off the water and things like that, we just kept doing more and more research and saying what do we need to do to get a plane that'll really perform.
Yeah. Yeah, a Cessna 206, $150,000, $200,000, kind of depending upon how it's set up, and then you add $600,000 in modifications, like you said. Why the 206 as opposed to some other type of plane?
Yeah, the biggest thing for us, you know, as we did our research, was I have to be able to put a stretcher in, and you can see a stretcher in the back that we have, and you have to have these big doors, and it's the only aircraft that's a small piston engine airplane that has doors like that. And so for us, we knew that about 65-70% of our flights were going to be patients, and so to be able to get a patient in and out, there's right hand, the big door in the back of the 206 is really the reason that we chose this airplane.
And the reason why you would do a 206 as opposed to something like a Kodiak, I assume, is just finances?
Yeah, big thing's finances. Also, our average flight's 45 minutes.
Okay.
Our average, for a medevac, we have a pilot, a nurse, a caregiver, and a patient, so you've got 4 people in the plane. There's probably 2 or 3 times a month where we wish we had a Kodiak, but we have 2 airplanes at that point, so we just take both planes and get the job done that way if we need it. Maybe land over this little mound over here, it'd be a little calmer.
See, I initially would not look at that and think it's a runway.
Yeah. No, there's runways everywhere. We had a T-shirt for a while that said, "Ask us about our 700-mile runway."
Yeah.
You know, because we can land anywhere. A little high water speed taxis for you.
Yeah.
One thing about a float plane is, you know, you can take off around corners. There's a lot of times where I'll start going one direction, and I'll in a half moon type of a lake or something, and I'll end up taking off completely 180 degrees the other direction. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
because of obstacles or because of the nature of the
just the only way around it. It's like a half moon, and so you just can go around the corners. Whereas a wheel plane, you can't do this in a wheel plane. So float planes give you that ability to maneuver on the water and go around corners.
Right, and for the people who aren't as familiar with float planes, you're using your rudder for that exclusively, right?
Using our rudder, and then we're also turning our ailerons into the turn as well, which is something you do as a float plane.
Right. And then once you're at a lower airspeed now, you'll drop rudders to actually go into the water, and now it's more like a boat, right?
Correct, yeah. So once you come down to a stop, then you would drop your water rudders and pulling the yoke all the way back so you don't want the nose to dig in.
Yeah.
And then you just wait. And, you know, the reality is the airplane's always going to turn into the wind.
Right.
So, you know, if you're going to take back off that way, wouldn't even need to put your water rudders down. But if we want to turn around or do anything else, we just put the water rudders down. And then we're ready to go.
That's great. Now, with modifications on the wing, do you notice a stall speed difference? Do you notice a significant difference in your ability to lift off, or landing distance?
Yeah, what the drooping ailerons really help give you that, just kind of get you in the ground effect, because that's really what you're trying to do as quick as you can to get that separation from the water, so you're not dealing with logs and sandbars and that sort of thing. Also, they're very stable, so we can stall this plane, and a lot of planes will fall one way or the other if you stall them. But this plane really just it'll just start losing altitude. It'll just stay straight, and you'll look at your vertical speed indicator, and you'll start dropping, and that's all the stall is. So it's very docile in the stall, which we'll actually add VGs when we get over to Papua New Guinea, and that gives it even more stability in the slow flight.
Now, obviously, you're working in the emergency situations all the time. So, how does CG work? Do you have any issues with, we have too much weight in the back and that throws things off, or because of the floats, it's not as bad, or how does that work?
Yeah, we have an app actually. We do CGs before we fly with medicine or with people, and yeah, you know, you've got to be careful. You can put 100 pounds in each float, which is also an amazing part of these floats. A lot of our cargo will go in there, but if you're by yourself and you put everything in the float, you're really moving the CG forward. So. You do have to be conscious of that, and as the fuel burns off, the CG is changing as well, so depending on how long your flight is. 206s in general, you almost, like most people that fly by themselves, will actually stick something in the back, like a sandbag or something, just to give it that half CG. Otherwise, it's just hard to get a good landing, and if you put 2 big guys up here and nothing in the back, then you start seeing the CG will change, and it's really hard to make a good landing, especially on wheels. But yeah, so we always have a medicine bag in the back. We always have stuff, a search and rescue bag, and all that stuff gives you the weight you need in the back anyways.
Awesome.
Or today, a chair.
Or today a chair and some tools.
I mean, I think this is awesome. This is great. I've not done any seaplane stuff. Obviously, I had a chance to fly a bunch of different stuff, but seeing this and the freedom really to be able to kind of go wherever you want, land wherever you want. Hey, that looks like clear water right there. Let's go land there. That's pretty unique. I really want to get my seaplane rating now.
Yeah, no, I highly encourage it. Until you've done it, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Just the freedom you have. I mean, it's like when we talk about access and hope to these remote communities, we're not just saying that.
Right.
Literally, we're the only way in.
How do people that have never seen, they don't have electricity, they haven't seen really technology, when you come in with this giant bird and you land it, what's their reaction?
Initially it's awe-inspiring for them.
Right.
Typically, the first time I fly in, everyone's a little bit nervous, but by the second or third time, they're all running at the airplane. I have 100 kids and villagers running at the plane, and I'm trying to
make sure they don't run.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why you have to know the language as well, because you got to tell them what to grab, what not to grab.
How do you know the languages? You said there's so many of them.
Well, so it's a trade language. So we speak Tokpisin,
okay.
Melanesian Tokpisin, which is the language, the trade language for the villages. So even though there's just in our area, there's 70 different dialects. On the river, they speak Tokpisin, so that's what the language that we all learn. It takes about 3 months to learn that language, and continue to learn it as you go to be able to communicate better long term. But to really be able to know it, it takes several years. But to be able to just say, hey, don't touch that, that sort of thing. And the reality too is, I use the villagers are a big help for me to get in and out. There's no docks. We came off a dock today at Oshkosh. Well, that doesn't even exist in New Guinea. So it's a mud bank. It's just a straight up and down bank, or the wing sometimes could be a foot over the bank. Sometimes you could have the floats right up even with the bank, depending on the river level. And then the next week you come and the bank of the river is 20 feet above the airplane. So we really rely a lot on the villagers to turn the plane. They turn it. I teach them how to turn the plane so we can get out of there. Teach them how to catch the plane when we come in, hold it.
Wow.
All of those things are very important for us to, when you're by yourself and the wind's blowing and all that, there's just a system. They grab the tip of the wing and they turn the wing when I let them know, and then I start it up and, off you go.
Off you go.
It was a bit of a learning, honestly. I went over there. It was very stressful because I knew it took us 10 years telling the story to raise enough money to get the first airplane, get over there. No one had done it in 60 years, and I knew that if I made one bad decision, this whole thing was done. And all these donors that have been so faithful to help us get over there would just be gone. So first few months were very, very stressful. It's just trying to make those good decisions. And the river is the color of chocolate, so you can see about 3 inches below the surface.
Okay.
And you're making all of your assessments from the air because it's so remote you can't even get there without being on a boat for days and days. But it's been amazing. We have great pilots. We haven't had an incident or an accident in 12 years. So
That's
we've been
incredible.
In an area that people told us
absolutely incredible.
People told us it couldn't be done.
Right.
Honestly, because they said it was too much debris in the river.
What do you attribute that safety factor to?
Well, we pray a lot, but besides that, a lot of training. We do a lot of assessing with our pilots. You can't just, I want to go. We get this a lot. Hey, I want to come over and fly with you guys for 2 weeks. And it's like, that's just not what it takes.
Right.
It takes years of training. We do assessments with our pilots, and a lot of that's on decision making and skill set. And so all of those are just major things that are so important. And it's hard not to take chances when someone's dying.
Right.
You can see them down there dying in a canoe. But we just drill it into our pilots. Like, look, it's a big picture.
Mission. Yeah. Right. What an adventurous thing for some pilot who wants to go out and do something adventurous and serve other people. Yeah. What an incredible way to do that.
Oh, there's nothing like it. I feel like I've just been so blessed to be able to do it. I lived over there with my family for 10 years. Now I go back and forth, do recruiting and more telling the story. But just an amazing adventure for our family. All our kids were involved. I had three kids, 4, 5, and 7 when I got there.
Wow.
They've been involved in the hospital, serving patients, feeding patients that we bring in. Involved with outreaches. My daughter was giving shots in the village at 16, giving out whooping cough vaccines and polio and that sort of thing. So it's really a family. My wife was the ambulance driver and the weather lady, and so all of those things. It was really a family affair. And so all of the families that come, really, that's really a passion for them. So the whole family's involved in what's going on.
Yeah, it's an absolute commitment, I imagine, to move over there and be there. So 2 years there, 6 months back, 2 years there.
That's kind of the that's been the model.
So what's your game plan next? What's the next thing for you?
I'm actually headed. I just got back from New Guinea about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm heading back over there in about 4 weeks.
All right.
And we're going to be launching into this new part of the country, like a place that hasn't had service in 35, 40 years.
That's incredible.
I flew over this place a couple years ago in a helicopter, and the people were sailing with palm fronds, their canoes. And so I mean, this is I'm excited. In September, I'm going to be taking one of the planes, and I'm going to go into these areas and really take a good look at what the needs are.
And so when will this plane be there?
This plane is going to one of our partners, MMS, in Ohio, to get an HF radio and some few modifications done, and they'll pack it in a 40-foot container, probably ship out in December.
Okay.
Takes a month or two to get over there, and so we'll put it back together on the other side, and hopefully this will be flying by March of 2023.
That's incredible. What a great story. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to do this and help share the story. What a great way to serve. Thank you for the service that you do to those people over there. I mean, just saving thousands of lives. Absolutely incredible. And using aviation to do that.
And I think that's awesome. You know, for those of us who are just passionate about airplanes, to use aviation as a tool, you know, to make a difference in the world. What's better than that?
Right.
You know? So,
Yeah, absolutely.